Wow, I got some friends in the audience. That's nice. Good afternoon, everybody. It is such a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to join you in talking about how we can support, how we can collaborate to support and uplift our community. This region is really a special place where the natural beauty and resources that we have here meet exciting industry, new industry sectors. But of course, the greatest resource we have is our people. And by building strong workforce pathways and deepening the partnerships that we have between education and industry and labor, we can ensure our region's continued stability and growth and open doors of opportunity to a more diverse and representative generation of youth here, and for them to remain here with family-sustaining jobs here in our region. As an educator, I may be a little bit biased in that I see that our childcare facilities, our TK-12 institutions, our colleges, our universities, they are at the heart of the solution for disrupting the cycles of poverty and unlocking the full potential of our region's youth, and to bring equity and justice to our community. Echoing what Dr. Brenner said earlier this morning, education is how we achieve upward mobility. Our region's educational institutions, in collaboration with powerful community-based organizations, reflect the resilience and adaptability of the community we serve, responding to the greatest challenges in the history that we've experienced, from the pandemic to fires to devastating storm damage. When it comes to workforce development, building and preparing our youth for the evolving workforce landscape is complex. And I encourage you to visit evolving forward-thinking CTE programs like they have at Pajaro Valley Unified School District, at the San Benito High School, and the Salinas Mission Trails ROP, in partnership with community colleges and universities. These are exciting places and they are doing amazing things. A resounding theme for us today is about authentic partnership, and it is at the heart of MBEP. And I'm excited to introduce a panel that is going to be talking to us about the work they're doing to provide workforce development in our community. It's my pleasure to welcome a few people that I'm going to be calling up. Rosa Vivian Fernandez, President and CEO of San Benito Health Foundation. Please welcome Rosa. Also joining me for this conversation is Cesar Lara, Director of Workforce and Economic Development from the California Labor Federation. Welcome, Cesar. Also joining us is Maria Rocha Ruiz, Assistant Vice Chancellor of Educational Partnerships and Chief Campus Outreach Officer for the K-16 Collaborative. Please welcome Maria Rocha Ruiz. And finally, Cody Cleverly, Workforce Lead for Joby Aviation. So I think, take this down and sit down with you. All right. So I have some questions here that I'd like our panel to answer as we talk a little bit about workforce development. And so I'm going to ask each member that is here to reintroduce themselves, the organization they're with, and talk to us a little bit about the role that you and your organizations are playing when it comes to building a strong workforce for our region. Rosa, would you like to start?
Yes, so I'm Rosa Fernandez, and I'm the CEO of San Benito Health Foundation. We're a federally qualified health center located in San Benito County. We're both a migrant health center and a community health center, and have been around since 1975. We were formed by the farm worker community of San Benito County and surrounding areas. In terms of what are we doing for the future, well, we all know that we've been affected by a horrendous pandemic that has very much transformed our workforce, and someone talked about burnout. We're actually at a crispy bacon stage, but we keep on moving. And the challenge is that as we move forward, we have an ever-growing, changing workforce need. And we need everything from lay workers to subspecialty, many of which are not available in our community. So we're fortunate that we actually have a diversity of teaching institutions in our area, our community colleges, our CSUMB, partnership, our UC system, and we have international collaborations with Mexico City. Unfortunately, to have two members of our staff, Dr. Sotomayor, who's a physician through the collaboration with UNAM at Mexico City, and he's a physician, family medicine physician that's here to practice 3 to 6 years with us, and has been a tremendous help to our community, given that he is one of 5 that's assigned to our clinic and 11 others that are assigned to Clínicas del Valle de Salinas. And then Anayeli Frausto, who's part of our culture of community health center staff, came to our organization as a medical assistant, left our organization and came back as a health educator. And we're very proud to have them both join us here. So part of it is the culture of innovation, the culture of career paths, and trying to avail ourselves of all the opportunities on behalf of our staff and our patients to move forward and meet the needs of the future.
Thank you so much, Rosa. Over to you, Cesar.
Good afternoon, everybody. Cesar Lara, I'm with the California Labor Federation. We're the 2.1 million worker organization that really looks at how can we look not just at the future of work, but the future of workers across the state of California. As we face these challenges, they're not new, they're just slightly different. You know, we've been facing climate change challenges for generations now, and now it's got to the point that we need to act. It's got to the point where, you know, in this community in Monterey County in the early 90s, we had farm workers living in caves because they couldn't find housing. Now we have firefighters and teachers living in cars because they can't find housing. So those are part of the challenges, but the opportunities that we have as we kind of talk about the new economy and how can we look at work in a different way, we have to make sure that the workers are at center. And, you know, really happy of the work the state has done around workforce partnerships, high road partnerships, Regions Rising Together, and other initiatives. But I think we have to look at how is whatever we do going to impact working families across the states. Because we have a lot of challenges. Every region has their challenges, and every region has their mandates, and we need to work as a state to make sure that we rise and really have a future for working families, that they're able to thrive in our communities, and really look at social determinants of health, and making sure that when we talk about work, we don't just talk about the physical building where people work at, but is the environment that they work at. Do they have the proper housing? Do they have the right kind of neighborhoods, the right kind of parks, the right kind of schools, the right kind of libraries? And all of that is also done by union workers. You know, as we talk about these challenges of like affordable housing, but nobody wants to talk about making sure that the workers that do the affordable housing get a proper wage and salary so they could thrive and not rely on the housing that they're building. And so as California, we talk about the future of work, but we really need to center it about what is the future for working families in California, because without them, we wouldn't have a state. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. Thank you for introducing that kind of a more comprehensive view of the workforce development. And over to Maria. If you wouldn't mind reintroducing yourself, Maria.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Maria Rocha Ruiz, and I serve as the Assistant Vice Chancellor of Educational Partnerships, as well as the Chief Campus Outreach Officer at UC Santa Cruz. I also serve as the Chair of the Central Coast K-16 Education Collaborative. I'm here primarily to talk about the role and the work of the collaborative. The collaborative is something that just was started a little over a year and a half ago when we heard that the state of California was going to be launching a RFP for work across the Central Coast. Partners from the southern part of the region and the northern part of the region got together so that we could be able to apply for a planning grant, which we successfully were awarded last year, so that we would be able to prepare for applying for an $18 million grant that we submitted last month. And Now it's been officially announced by the governor, so I can officially say that we were awarded the grant, and we're really excited about that. So the Regional Collaborative is a collective impact initiative which includes all of the educational sectors from across 6 counties. It's all the K-12s, the community colleges, the California State Universities, and the Universities of California, which is our campus, UC Santa Cruz and UC Santa Barbara. Currently, we have over 50 organizations that are involved, and we're really excited and looking forward to engaging even more now that we've been funded this implementation grant to continue our work. It's across like the Central Coast, so it includes 6 counties: Monterey, Santa Cruz, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and San Benito. And the goal of the collaborative is for us to drive transformational, equity-centered change across the region. So we're really excited about that. Throughout all of our discussions, equity has been at the center and the core of what we want to do and the transformational change that we want to be able to have across the region. We also want to create more inclusive and equity education to workforce pathways across all of these educational sectors. So this is the first opportunity that all of these different educational sectors are coming together to work together to impact the educational and career pathways along the sectors and work with the workforce and industry to be able to have an impact. We also want to create a new and sustainable engagement across all of these sectors. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the first opportunity that we're having for all of these different educational sectors to be able to work together and have a long-term sustainable change. One of the things that we have been also discussing is that we don't want the collaborative just to be based on the funding opportunity that we're giving, but also to have it be sustainable so that we can take advantage of additional funding opportunities that become available that we can apply for and continue making this transformative change for the long term for the benefit of our students. The other really important thing that has been at the center of our work and our discussions is that we want to make sure that the needs and the aspirations of our families are at the core of all the work that we do, and that we take them into account in developing our strategies and initiatives and our work forward.
Thank you so much, Maria, and congratulations on the $18 million that was awarded to our region and to the exciting opportunities it's going to offer. And thank you for your leadership on the K-16 Collaborative. Over to you, Cody. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is Joby working on when it comes to workforce development?
Yeah. I lead workforce development at Joby, and workforce development is a somewhat unique function as a designated business function in for-profit companies. Companies tend to have talent development functions, recruiting functions, but workforce development is different than those things. Workforce development is focused outward, outside of the company, focused on the community, building inroads for our neighbors, our friends in the community where we call home, to quality jobs, life-sustaining, family-sustaining wages, and then and upward mobility in the economy through Joby and through other employers that they might find themselves employed with after they've been with Joby. So I'm curious. I know many of you in the audience. We have a lot of folks from government and education and academia, community-based organizations, nonprofits. How many of you here represent industry specifically? Okay, we have a handful. Awesome. So it's good to see some industry representation here. But I do have to point out that there's not a lot of industry representation here. And industry is obviously an extremely important partner in this work. But the reality is, and I'm fortunate, the reason I'm at Joby is because I'm passionate about this work, which is why I'm here and why I know so many of you that do this awesome work as well. Joby's unique in that we make some very significant investments in this area that other employers don't often prioritize. And the reality is, if we want employers at the table, we have to bring them to the table, and oftentimes we have to drag them to the table. And something that we think about at Joby, as it relates to this region in particular, which is our home. We were founded in Santa Cruz, headquarters in Santa Cruz. We manufacture aircraft right here in Marina. What's really important to us is that as much as we possibly can, we want to create jobs in this region. The problem is that's not enough. If we create good jobs in this region, and then all of those jobs are filled by people who are technically capable who don't live in this region, and we relocate them here, then we have a problem, don't we? So we talked about housing, we've talked about all these other issues, and actually the creation of jobs in a region, if they're not coupled with the partnerships that we can create, and we've already created with many of you, if they're not coupled with those, we're actually creating problems for our region. And so I want to leave that with you all to think about, that we, Joby, not just Joby, but the rest of the industry, that all of you are working so hard to attract and incentivize and help grow in this region to create jobs. We need to help them ensure that those jobs benefit our community.
Thank you, Cody, and thank you for your efforts to make that commitment beyond the what is in the best interest of Joby, but also for the best interest of the community. So one of the questions for the panel is about the challenges that we face, and also to be thinking about how can these partnerships, this community, help us overcome those challenges. When we think about maximizing the impact in terms of numbers, and also in terms of what we're able to provide to our community when it comes to workforce development, what are the challenges that we're facing in your industry sector, and what are the things that you can think of that we need to do to overcome those challenges?
I would say the climate change for sure, and our organization in 2019, actually in 2017, there was a horrendous event in Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, and our organization sent help to Puerto Rico, to the community health centers there. And when we came back, our board decided that that event would not happen to us, in which medications were lost and patients could not receive care because of loss of electricity. So in 2019, we became completely off the grid. So we have our own grid, and we're, solar powered in our organization. And so we're in the process of building another facility that is a teaching health center with workforce housing in San Juan Bautista, which we envision is going to be completely off the grid. So we look at climate change from that perspective. We look at efficiency of service delivery, and trying to have our workforce stay closer so they're not impacting the climate further by traveling outside of the area. But as we're developing this, we don't want to be considered developers, because we are not developers. We are healthcare providers. We're just providing housing because we need the housing in order to get our staff to have a dignified life, the same life that we want for all of our patients in our community.
Thank you, Rosa. Go ahead, Cesar.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa, for bringing up the issue of climate change. And in our region, we have seen the impact of climate change. Last year was one of our hottest summers. Last fall and winter was our wettest. And it impacted families in real ways. But there's also other areas that we need to address that have been very little progress been done on it. Immigration. Did you guys know that Monterey County per capita has the highest percentage of undocumented individuals more than any county in California? We are a border county. And, childcare. We have, 10,000 slots for children to have professional childcare facilities. We have a need of 30,000. And that's today. And we heard earlier about the cost of childcare. It's ridiculous that our number one industry is hospitality and ag. Average salary of a farm worker is about $28,000 a year. Same thing for housekeepers. Can you spend $14,000 on childcare? It's just unrealistic. Healthcare. 3 of the top most expensive hospitals in the state of California are in Monterey County. Healthcare. Those are issues that we need to tackle. And a little thing called housing. And so we have challenges, but there's ways that we could walk out of this community being stronger with these challenges because we need to face them head on. Some of these issues are bigger than us, but a lot of these issues could be tackled at home. And all of our communities across California have similar challenges in different things, and we can't just stick our head in the sand like some industries have had. Agriculture, we have the most H-2A visas than any county in California, and we have the most than the whole country, California. We have about 5,500 H-2A workers, because those are workers from outside another country, Mexico, let's call it for what it is, and they're coming here, they have to be provided housing, transportation, and food. But let's have a conversation about raising the standard of wages so we can have domestic workers working in agriculture. One of the things that Cesar Chavez said before he passed away is you have to remember that agriculture is a profession. My parents were proud to work in agriculture. And if you're a professional, what do you need? Professional wages and professional benefits. As we talk about the challenges that we have, and we kind of put a spin on it in regards to let's do more affordable housing, let's do more on healthcare and other things, which we have to do. We also have to look at the workers that are being affected want to get paid more, want to be able to afford a home. And one of the things that we have to understand that it's not their fault. So many workers that I talk to, and many of you talk to, think it's their fault. My parents were able to provide housing for me. I cannot. I cannot afford health care. My employer cannot afford health care. That's my problem. My parents had it. Guess what? It's a broken system. But it's not broken system for some people. And it's working how it was designed to work, but it's not for working families. And so as we talk about these critical issues, it's about race and class that we need to address as a community as a whole. And the labor movement is, we're willing to roll up our sleeves. We've been doing it for a generation. People forget that when it was a march for civil rights and good jobs that the labor movement and the community worked together on. And so we need to do more of that and kind of go old school and have the conversations. And MBEB and other community and other groups have been having those for a while. We're rich in initiatives around here. Regions Rising Together, SURF, other initiatives. We know what the problems are. When I stand in front of whatever worker group that I stand in front of, they understand the issue in 2 minutes. But the solutions are hard to find, not because they don't exist, but because people don't want to address it and color it in different ways. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesar. Thank you for pointing out the interconnectedness of all of those systems and how flawed the system is and who is most impacted by it. Over to you, Maria. The question is about the challenges and solutions.
Thank you, Ferris. One of the main objectives of the Central Coast K-16 Regional Collaborative is for us to develop jobs that provide job advancement opportunities and a livable wage for students across the region, especially those that have been historically marginalized students or economically disadvantaged students, because these are the ones where the greatest disparity exists in terms of being able to have a livable wage. When we were looking at which occupational pathways we wanted to select, as part of the grant that we received, we had to select between 2 out of 4. It was healthcare, engineering or computing, education, and business. We looked at, a lot of different data, including labor market analysis and so forth, to determine which occupational sectors we wanted to be able to focus on. And one of the biggest challenge that we saw in looking at the data, and this was also amplified by the presentation that Chris Benner showed, is that there are not very many occupations in the region that offer a livable wage. So when we were looking at some of the data, it showed that 9 out of the 10 most common occupations that require a high school degree or an AA degree did not offer a livable wage. And when we were looking at a bachelor's degree, although 10 of the most common occupations that require a bachelor's degree for the region do provide a livable wage, 5 out of those 10 jobs, when they're entry level, they do not. So even when you have a bachelor's degree, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be earning a livable wage in the region. So when we were looking at which occupational sectors we wanted to consider, we really looked at that. We wanted to make sure that we developed pathways that would provide ample opportunities for students to be able to live have a livable wage so that they could be able to provide financial security for themselves and for their families. So that's why we selected healthcare, engineering, computing, and education, focusing on teachers in STEM so that we could be able to develop more teachers that could better support our students in being successful in the career pathways that we selected. And in looking at the data, these are the pathways that would be able to provide a livable wage, including on and off ramps at the different educational levels, so that regardless of whether they just completed their AA degree or their high school degree, that there were more chances for them to be able to have a livable wage. And it would be easy for them to then go back to school for job advancement and continue their degree to a bachelor's and so forth, and continue advancing economically.
Thank you so much, Maria. Unfortunately, Cody, we are out of time, so we're going to have to close it out at this point. Thank you so much, all of you, for talking about the systemic challenges and also the opportunities that we have to support our community through workforce development. Let's give a round of applause to our wonderful panel. Thank you so much, and we hope that the interconnectedness that we see here can help us to work together to build our workforce and continue to do some great work. Thank you so much.